No? There we go. Namo Amida
All right.
Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Good morning. Good evening.
Good morning.
Wherever you are, whenever you are, whichever realms of existence you are, whatever mind states you're in, whatever conditions you are welcome, welcome, welcome. As
Exactly.
Yujiro Seki says. I'm getting
Exactly.
ready to getting ready for my interview. So I've got to have that energy. It's ready to
Yeah.
anyway. So yes. So we have a good topic for today that I raised, very personal one.
Yeah.
About the whole, it's probably going to be similar. I would say there's going to be some similar aspects to it of the other, the one we did the other week, about the unsatisfactoriness of, of life, and thinking about ourselves, the unsatisfactoriness of ourselves on that deep dukkha level. But this, I guess, is a different aspect where there's just times, and it's an underlying thing too, where I just loathe samsara. I just loathe this provisional existence and this whole thing, for what it is and what you experience and how you're brutalized by it, and I accept my karma, so I accept karmically I deserve to be here in just this form, in just this world, in just this way. But I still do you know what I mean? I'm a Bombu. I'm not an enlightened being, so it's really hard to I suppose just accept it as it is, or accept it for what it is. Sometimes I can. Most of the time, I'd say most of the time I can. I just go with it, and I, knowing what it is, I go with it. But underlyingly, and there's days where I just am like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this bleep. I want to just get to Pure Land and get on with it. Become a Buddha, come back and do, to return and help other beings get out of this thing, and I want to get out of it myself. So it's just, what I mean? And I have no plans for anything, along those lines. I have no, I'm not talking about taking my own life or anything like that.
You're not going to do what the devotees, Pure Land devotees in ancient Japan did, where they would walk out into the sea.
Yeah, and in China, as I understand as well, there were stories of that in China as well. But no, I have no plans like that. I have no, even if I had plans like that, or not plans, even if I had that sort of thought or desire anymore, I lack the constitution for being able to do that to myself. So, do you know what I mean?
Good.
Yeah. It's a good thing. So, I have no plans. I have no thoughts of that. But you know what? There's days where I'm just like, oh, just get on. I just want to get on with it already. I know I have to, I know Amida cuts off the seeds, cuts off the roots of my karma, and I have to live out the rest of his karma. And I know, I always think of Angulimala, I'm not that I'm like him in the sense of how he was, but in what the Buddha said to him, after he, after he, became one of Buddha's greatest sort of disciples, and they went to a particular village where he was recognized after, he's wearing robes and he shaved his head, but he was still recognized, and he rightly got the crap beaten out of him. He rightly, by the villagers, something along that line. They, because of the anger of, what he'd done to their families, family members. And he came rushing, back to the Buddha, and the Buddha just raised his hand and says, "Endure it, monk, endure it." And so I think of that. I don't compare myself at all to Angulimala in the sense of being, doing the things and having the urges and impulses and things he did. But I that message from Shakyamuni to us, I certainly kind of relate to for the rest of my karma in this existence. It's the world of endurance. We live in the Saha world, don't we? So, and I have my karma, and I have to live that out. So, but you know what I mean. Sometimes I just loathe it. I'm just tired of it, and I just want to get on with it, become a Buddha, and come back and help other beings and get it done. As a bodhisattva or multiple forms that we're meant to come back as, and just get on with it. Do you know what I mean? And then I look at the story from Tannisho that we're gonna, no doubt, I think.
I have
read.
I have a lot of thoughts.
Well, let me just before we go on, let me just say
Sure.
one other thing. Then I look at the story from Tannisho about that. I think Yenbo himself took to Shinran and asked him about something along the lines of, I really don't want to go to, sometimes I don't really want to go to Pure Land. I'm not really in a hurry to go to Pure Land, something along this line. And I'm thinking to myself, most of my Kyogyoshinsho's lifetime, when I heard that story, I was like, what? Why not? Why do you not want to go to, so then I started, well, is there something wrong with how I'm understanding the teachings or that story, or is there something wrong with my understanding of the teachings, and this kind of thing. And then there's other things I reflect on about myself, which we'll get to later on, I think, where I realize actually, and I've touched on this before in other videos of ours, of that ghost mind of mine, where I want to go back to the past and have a redo. I'm very attached to that. And then I think, well, actually, that's kind of in a way saying I want to stick around, even though, you know what I mean. So in that similar sense. So anyway, it's just sometimes I don't have the patience. I don't have patience for people. I don't have compassion for people. I don't. Like I said, most of the time I do. Most of the time I try to live by the guidelines. That I've been doing the readings of. I try to live by those 5 kind of. Try to let them guide my life. And most of the time I have for a long time. Actually, I have to say I was raised quite well. In that sense, when it comes to just manners and considering other people, and do you know what I mean? And things, but I just sometimes I don't feel that way. Sometimes I just think people deserve what they get. People deserve their freaking karma just like I do, and they should just freaking, do you know what I mean?
I think we all have those days.
Anyway, so
And
just sometimes I
moments.
just am sick of it. I'm just sick of
We are.
samsara. I'm sick of the whole thing, and I'm just, yeah. So that's it. That's kind of the topic that I wanted to discuss.
Well, that is why it is called the Saha world, right? The world of endurance.
Endurance, yeah, indeed.
There are things that must be endured. That
Exactly.
doesn't mean, that's not an excuse that we shouldn't, seek to better our lives and work for the good of society and so on. But, yeah, I do have some thoughts. First, I would like to say that I can relate to Yuinbo's question to Shinran, because I too have had those times and have those times, right, when I'm not like 100% in go to the Pure Land mode. Let's say, I'm enjoying life here, or I'm admiring the sunset, or not that there's anything, of course that's all great, but or I'm the pleasures that we enjoy, like if you are eating a delicious meal, my Bombu mind is just thinking this is delicious. I'm not thinking I need to hurry up and go to the Pure Land between every bite. I'm not. The good thing about Pure Land Buddhism is that we don't have to pretend to be something we're not. We can just be who we are and what we are, and as we are saved. We're saved by Amida without having to become something. So it's, they say in Japanese, sono mama, as you are. Amida saves us as we are. That doesn't mean we don't have to have that changing of the mind and heart, the encounter with the Tao. That's, of course, on the spiritual level, but we don't have to pretend to be. And a lot of people fall into this trap of, pretending to be spiritual and pretending to have all of these, thoughts and ideas that they might not even actually have. They might be, sort of self convincing themselves. A lot of people have done that, actually. I mean, as we both. That's just not Buddhism. I mean, there's nothing, if you are trying to be something that you're not, I should say in Kyogyoshinsho, of course, the path of sages is another story, because that's a more of a self, the self-powered route to enlightenment. But on the other powered route to enlightenment, there's nobody comes in first and nobody comes in last. There's no special first class cabin on the ship of the vow for people who are following who are being good Buddhists. That's not how it works. We're equals in the vows, as objects of the vows, salvation, and taking us to the other shore, and that's very important.
Well,
I mean,
I guess we could say I'd say that's in the main, the central part, or the main parts of the Pure Land. Would that be true? Whereas maybe the provisional, like borderlands and things like that.
Yeah, I'm talking about.
There's a different. You're talking about the realized,
the fulfilled Pure Land. Of course.
The fulfilled.
Yeah,
that's the word. We're not the transformed.
Real Pure Land. Right.
The fulfilled land. Yeah, the fulfilled
right.
land, not the provisional.
Right.
Sort of aspects that are made.
That's a good distinction, but it's not the 19th and 20th vows which lead to birth in the temporary or provisional or borderland, but the fulfilled land, right, of the 11th and 12th vows, and which can only be reached through
17th and 18th
and the 18th vow.
Sorry, I was lumping the 17th and 18th together.
Right, yeah. They work together. They go hand in hand.
As the, yeah.
And so, where was I going with this? The
pretense. We're talking about there's no pretense religious.
Right.
I mean, people probably do it in Buddhism, but the idea of religious pretense in Buddhism is like completely ironic and bizarre to actually do that.
And at the worst extreme, let's say, it can lead people to not only sort of convince themselves that they have attained some state or some, but then they might also tell others, I've attained this, and that's a big no-no in original Buddhism, even going back to make a misstatement about your spiritual attainment is a big. I think it's one of the major offenses that require
not the 5 grave offenses, but maybe the 10, maybe in the top 10, maybe the top 10, maybe the 10 grave offenses, not the
sorry,
not the 5.
No. I misspoke. Neither the 10 or the 5 in terms of the ethical, but rather the offenses that entail either repentance or, in the most severe cases, expulsion from the order. Which there are very few of, but they do exist, and I can't bring to mind if the misstating your spiritual attainment is one of those or not, but I think it's considered to be a grave mistake, error.
Grave.
To avoid that, we can start by just being honest with ourselves.
Exactly.
And then we don't have that problem. So,
which we do some of that here, I would say, just to a large degree.
It's easy to say, but We are Bombu, and our minds tend to go in those directions. But I was going to say that, so I can relate to Yunbo, saying, well, I don't always have the urge to get up and quick foot it to the Pure Land. Is this a problem? He asks Shinran. Shinran says, of course, gives the answer that he gives.
Should we read this, or do you have? Is there a further thing you want to say? Should we read this now? Or
yeah,
I bring it
that
up.
would be a good idea.
I've got it. I've got Shinran Works up, and I've got Tannisho up. So I just need to get to
great
to chapter 8 on that. Where is it? Here we go. That's not it. I thought it was there. Sorry about this. Where is it? Do you have it up already? I thought I did.
I can look for it. I did want to mention that I think. Oh wait, here we go. Okay. Let me see if I can find it.
There we go. Continue reading. Now that should be it. Record of In Lament of the Diversions. There we go. Now I'm there. Now I'm there. There we go. I know what I did. I clicked the wrong. There we go. So you just need to find a second. Does it break it into chapters in the Shinran Works?
Yes, and the numbers are the same numbers, I believe.
They're what? Sorry, the number. Oh, the numbers are actually. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
It should be.
Though there's section numbers. One sec. I will just. First of all,
I found it.
You found it? Yeah. Go ahead. You can share. I've already said it. So you can share. Yeah.
Sure.
So.
Okay. Which one is it?
I mean, I have Tannisho here, but I can't. It's hard to narrow it down to.
Okay, this is actually chapter 9 of Tannisho.
Yeah. Excellent.
And should I read it?
Yes, or should yes, please do.
Okay. So this is, first of all, Yunbo, the author of Tannisho, speaking. So he's writing this from his point of view. Although I say the Nimbutsu, the feeling of dancing with joy is faint with me, and I have no thought of wanting to go to the Pure Land quickly. How should it be for a person of the Nimbutsu? When I asked the master, Shinran, this, he answered, I too have had this question, and the same thought occurs to you, Yunbo. When I reflect deeply on it, by the very fact that I do not rejoice at what should fill me with such joy that I dance in the air and dance on the earth, I realize all the more that my birth is completely settled. What suppresses the heart that should rejoice and keeps one from rejoicing is the action of blind passions. Nevertheless, the Buddha, knowing this beforehand, called us foolish beings possessed of blind passions. Thus, becoming aware that the compassionate vow of other power is indeed for the sake of ourselves, who are such beings, we find it all the more trustworthy. Further, having no thought of wanting to go to the Pure Land quickly, we think forlornly that we may die, even when we become slightly ill. This is the action of blind passions. It is hard for us to abandon this old home of pain, where we have been transmigrating for innumerable kalpas down to the present, and we feel no longing for the Pure Land of peace, where we have yet to be born. Truly, how powerful our blind passions are. But though we feel reluctant to part from this world, at the moment our karmic bonds to this Saha world run out and helplessly we die, we shall go to that land. Amida pities especially the person who has no thought of wanting to go to the Pure Land quickly. Reflecting on this, we feel the great vow of great compassion to be all the more trustworthy and realize that our birth is settled. If we had the feeling of dancing with joy and wishing to go to the Pure Land quickly, we might wonder if we weren't free of blind passions. Thus were his words. Namanda, namanda.
Namanda, nam.
Yeah, this is a very,
Thank
very
you.
famous
Yeah.
chapter in Tannisho, probably one of the most frequently referred to.
And probably one of the biggest Shinron flips, I think.
Yes.
It's
Especially since Shinron does write and speak quite a lot about this joy, right? That we realize when we attain or when Shinji arises, right? The joy part of it, there's kind of two parts here. There's the not feeling joy when I should be feeling joy, and then there's the not wanting to go to the Pure Land, right?
Can't win for losing, you know, can't do it right, can't do it wrong, can't just
right.
can't get it right no matter what I do.
Yeah, and well, such is the life of Bombu, right?
Indeed.
But I think your question is coming from a very different perspective, which is you can't imagine someone like Yuinbo not wanting to go to the Pure Land. I think your point of view.
Yeah, it's another angle. But can I just say some things really quickly before I kind of lose them from my train of thought about that? Is that's an underlying thing that I feel, that just desire. Okay, I'm done with this. Let's get it. Let's get there. I just want to get there. I suppose that's something maybe that might change with settlement of Shinjin. I don't know. There might I think that's just something I suspect.
I was going to say
I will change with that settlement, but I am where I am. So that's, like we were talking about, be honest, talk about it, speak up. That's what we got to do. No pretense here. We don't do, but, most, kind of underlyingly that I sense that, but, there are times where, if I'm honest, if I think about it, when I'm running, I'm not thinking about, I love running. I love, and I'm not thinking about it. Sometimes I am, because I'm actually listening. It's actually sometimes I do, because I'm listening to the Dharma while I'm running. I've got a video, audio, just listening to it. Something I'm literally listening to. And sometimes, when I'm reflecting as part of my deep listening while I'm running, that often happens as well. But there are times when I'm running, where I'm just enjoying it. I just get caught up in it, and and just I'm in flow.
Yeah.
I'm that Nietzschean runner in flow. Not thinking about, just feeling good. I've got the endorphin hit going, and
right.
Life is good. Yeah, feeling, and then I can hear the Rocky theme in the back of my head, or so what's that Survivor song? Eye of the Tiger. Got Eye of the Tiger in the back of my mind, as So I'm not thinking about the Pure Land, man. And when I'm gardening, I'm over at the allotment. There's times I'm not. Land, same thing though, unless I'm literally listening, which I often do while I'm gardening or at the allotment, literally listening to the Dharma while I'm, Dharma talks or whatever, or just reflecting as Dharma while I'm doing that. But that's not the whole time. And there's just time I'm over there. It's sunny. It's wonderful. Yeah. It's, I'm enjoying the physical activity, or even if it's rainy a bit and overcast, I'm almost enjoying that kind of mood of that. And do you know what I mean? I'm out here, I'm doing this, I'm a proper British gardener. No rain or shine, I'm out here. So anyway, so if I'm honest about it, And when I'm
Yeah.
talking to a student, at work, when I find, when I get, when I'm talking to, at the university I work for,
Mm,
I support students in their studies, and when I'm speaking to them, I'm in that flow of really trying
right.
to understand where they're coming from, what support they need, what their issues are, what's, really what's the, trying to talk about it, and bring in that sort of motivational kind of interviewing, kind of all that stuff's on my mind, active listening, and
Mm,
trying to really do help them on, see what is the best in their best interest about their study or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And or their situation, and and I'm not thinking about it then. I'm so, if I'm honest, yeah.
yeah.
And and if I'm
I
honest,
think
and if I'm honest about, there's that part of me, I told you that this, I call it my the ghost world, that I spend, a lot of time in, of trying to, there's that, oh, if I could just do a redo and go back, I've got the year, the month picked out, the, what I would alternatively do, how I could, do it, you know what I mean? Like, all these flights of fancy, it's very sci-fi,
mhm,
but it's all these flights of fancy of what, how I could, do you know what I mean? But I'll,
mhm.
that also comes in here. So, if I'm not, if I'm then in a hurry to get to Pure Land, why am I, trying to, why I'm putting so much energy and mental thought and time into, well, if I just did this differently, and then I think, well, but the positive aspect of it, I'll just say, is I've used that in a positive way, and say, well, I'm going to do now what I think I should have done then,
Mm,
with with relationships, with family, with career, with martial arts, whatever it is. I'll do now what I should have done
right.
then, and I'm doing that. I'm actually, so I put that into, I
Yeah.
kind of use that ghost mind to my
Yeah.
advantage, if you see what I mean. I kind of use it to motivate me here and
Mhm.
now. But anyway, so if I'm honest, yeah, I can I can relate to what what Yenbo is, this question, and Renyan Shinran
Right.
is, had admitted that he himself feels that way. So, but it's a strong thing when I do feel it, that underlying, just ugh, I've had it. I'm done
Yeah.
with this now.
I
And it's
well,
pretty
and I
much on a
think
daily basis. I do experience that pretty strongly
mhm.
as well, So, but yeah,
And I think this is part of personality. I mean, I really do
yeah,
think it is. Some people, have those um certain thoughts or certain, how to say, personality types, I mean, regarding things. And so, but I think what everything that you said is actually exactly why Kyogyoshinsho is the path for you and me.
yeah,
Because we are absorbed on a daily
yeah,
basis in
yeah,
our lives, in our work. Um, you know, I mean, we have to focus at time.
yeah,
When I'm at work, like you said, when we're at work focusing on, I'm not thinking about Jodashu all of the time. I mean, it's not possible. You can't think about two things at the same time, right? You
yeah,
have to, but that's not a problem, because our path doesn't teach, like some Pure Land traditions or paths do, that, for example, the more you say the Nimbutsu, the greater your chances of being born in the Pure Land are, right? At the end of life. If that were the case, then we should just stop what we're doing now and go, become a
yeah,
monk and say the Nimbutsu constantly without rest, like Shinran did on Mount Kie, right? um,
exactly.
so yeah, Jodo Shinshu, it's the path for you and me and everyone like you and me. And so the important thing, as we always discuss and get back to, is that we realize not necessarily that I have to constantly be, I always want to wish to be born in the Pure Land 100% of the time, because that's not, as this passage in Tannisho is kind of laying out the reality of Bombu. The reality of Bombu, of foolish beings, of unenlightened beings, is that we don't do that.
Yeah.
And so it's not our aspiration per se, but rather we realize in the true and real mind of Amida, which is Amida's constant aspiration for up to us that we will be born in the Pure Land. It's again, in Kyogyoshinsho, the understanding is reversed. It's the Shinjin and Yokusho, the aspiration, the threefold faith and the 18th vow are not things that we have to construct in our minds by our own calculation and will. It's given by Amida. It arises through the natural working, as we've been discussing in previous episodes of the Dharma, through hearing, and so that's crucial. That's the most important, the pivotal point. And so, yeah,
which it goes on. The next chapter goes right into that. after chapter 9, the next. I'll just bring it up now because I want to come back to that. If one sec, I'll just share. I've got it up here myself now. So it goes, right after that, right after that discussion, it goes right into concerning the Nemutsu. No working is true working, or it is it is beyond description, explanation, and conceptual understanding. Like the very next, So he's, it's already kind of, either Shinran or Yenbo in this case putting this together. Kind of, there's definitely some guiding wisdom there. I think that chapter followed. But unless that discussion happened on the same day or something, right into that. But So anyway, go ahead with what you're saying. Sorry.
Well, exactly. No working is true working. There's nothing for us to work out. We don't have to, say the Nimbutsu as many times as we can every day, in some sort of, with the thought that if we don't, somehow we are not gonna, make it to the Pure Land and that kind of thing. So, and I think, like you said, you sort of, in your previous conversation, you're talking about all the ways in which you and I, everyone is absorbed and, isn't constantly thinking, I want to go to the Pure Land as quickly as possible. I mean, it's, and that's just kind of the reality. I mean, there's no one who's unenlightened, let's say, who and not, a bodhisattva or something, of some stage, is thinking 100% of the time. And that's why, and we need to get to this. So, because once again, of course, Kyogyoshinsho directly addresses. So, is it okay if I share? Well, actually,
can I be passage? Well, one thing I just want to say real quick.
Please,
might lead into that.
Yeah,
is this last bit? Yeah, just this last bit really, pulls it in for me as well, where it says, further, having no thought of wanting to go to the Pure Land quickly, we think forlornly that we may die even when we become slightly ill. This is the action of blind passions. It is hard for us to abandon this. Here we go. It is hard for us to abandon this old home of pain. Oh, right there, just that sentence alone, where we have been transmigrating for innumerable kalpas down to the present, and we feel no longing for the Pure Land of peace, where we have yet to be born. So just that bit, I mean, you've been here a long time, in the sense that we, think about time as ordinary, foolish, ignorant beings, transmigrating all these different lifetimes. It's like, you can't just stop smoking. You know what I mean? I'm just going to stop smoking now. It takes this. It's a bit of a process involved. It's like in a it's like an addiction almost, we've we've certainly discussed addiction and things, but and but do you know what I mean? Like
Right.
this is something we've been at a long time in a lot of different provisional existences of all kinds of worlds and all kinds of beings, and in this samsaric, and very rarely as humans, and that. So I mean, we're going to be, we're tied to it, karmic ties. We're
Yeah.
bound. We're bound to it. We're, karmically speaking, we're just, it's,
Yep.
and that's just not something that's gonna, go away. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So I just
Right.
wanted to say that I think that's a part of it that really just stands out to me when I read this passage or hear it again. That aspect of it, and just the ways this, it is hard for us to abandon this old home of pain. It might be pain, but it's our old, long time home. We've lived here,
Yeah.
transmigrated
And
here. So,
another passage that ties directly into
yeah.
the passage I
Sure.
want to discuss next is where it says, Amida pities especially the person who has no thought of wanting to go to the Pure Land quickly.
Okay.
Pity is not a translation choice I would use there. That suggests like, oh, what a pity. Sorry, just as you took a drink.
Yeah, I almost did a, yeah.
But
Very well timed. Very, very well timed. Well,
we're poorly timed. But compassion. Amida has compassionate intentions toward us who don't have that wish to go to the Pure Land. So
yeah.
And with that thought in mind, now I do want to share
okay. All right.
The passage from Kyogyoshinsho. Okay, and it is going to take me a second to find, so hold on one moment. Okay. This is in Kyogyoshinsho where Shinran is discussing the threefold mind and what what is the significance of those three minds in the larger sutra, the vow. Okay, I did find the passage, so I will share my screen.
Okay, found it.
Okay, are we visible?
We are.
Yeah, so this is Aspiration for Birth, or Yokusho.
Which chapter of Kyogyoshinsho is this in?
This is the chapter on faith, or the chapter on Shinjin.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
And Shinran does this breakdown of the threefold faith, as it's often called, the three, faith in the larger sutra, which is Shishin, sincere mind, Shingyo, or Shinjin, some translated joyful faith, and then finally Yokusho, or the aspiration for birth, the desire to be born in the Pure Land. And I just want to read this, and then I think why I mentioned this passage, I think will become clear after I read it. So
okay.
let me just read it. Finally, aspire for birth, this is Yokusho in Japanese, is the command of the Tathagata calling to and summoning the multitudes of all beings. That is, true and real and trusting is the essence of aspiration for birth. Truly, aspiration for birth is not the directing of merit through the self-power of meditative and non-meditative practices, whether performed by ordinary people or sages of the Mahayana or the Hinayana. Therefore, it is called not directing. However, sentient beings of the countless worlds, floundering in the sea of blind passions and drifting and sinking in the ocean of birth and death, lack the true and real mind of directing virtues. They lack the pure mind of directing virtues. For this reason, when the Tathagata was performing bodhisattva practices out of pity for the ocean of all sentient beings in pain and affliction, in every single moment, every single instant of his endeavor in the three modes of action, he took the mind of directing virtues as foremost, and thus realized the mind of great compassion. Accordingly, the Buddha directs this other benefiting, true and real mind of aspiration for birth to the ocean of all beings. Aspiration for birth is this mind of directing virtues. It is none other than the mind of great compassion. Therefore, it is untainted by the hindrance of doubt. Boom.
Yeah. Namo
Amida Butsu.
Yeah.
I love this passage, and I think you can kind of, I think it'll take a lifetime to truly, dig into everything that is contained here. But what it's saying is that the aspiration for birth is Amida's call to us.
Exactly.
And that it's his Amida's directing of virtue or transferring merit to us who lack that true and real pure mind of aspiration and directing of virtue. So again, not a problem. It's because Amida's working is exactly such that he is the one saving us. We don't have to, put our oar in, so to speak.
And it's not even, our aspiration to be born in Pure Land isn't really our aspiration, ultimately.
Right. Yeah. In the essence,
it's a result of Amida's directing of his virtue. It's Amida's call that we even have that aspiration or experience that aspiration. So even,
that comes to us, that is given to us in Shingyo. So ultimately, Shinran's conclusion is that the threefold, Shishin, Shingyo, Yokusho in the primal vow is given to us as Shingyo, Shinji. That's what we receive, and then and so of course there's more, complicated discussions of a doctrinal nature about all of that, but the important thing, I think, is in that passage. I mean, it's the aspiration of Amida to save us and to bring us to be born in the Pure Land. And when we hear that, we are moved, and we're also how to say, not relaxed, but we have peace of mind, because we know that it doesn't depend on our minds, because our minds are, just as Shinran describes them right here, floundering in the sea of blind passions, in drifting and sinking. We lack the true and real mind. So that is the pivotal, the key, one of the truly key points, I mean, I think of clearly of Kyogyoshinsho teaching. So, how I think that kind of ties into the discussion about aspiration. And I also wanted to mention it because it says that Amida, when he was Dharmakara Bodhisattva, right? So when he was in his causal stage, performing practices, in every single moment, every single instant of his endeavor, he took the mind of directing riches as foremost. And that's what it requires, is every single moment, not 98% of the time, not 99.9% of the time, but all of the time.
And this is only something that a extraordinary uber being could do. Not something we could ever even conceive of doing.
It can only come from the realm of the ultimate, of the true, of the truth, the real, the true and real. So that which is true and real, which we receive, Amita's mind, the Buddha's mind, that's coming to us from the world of that which is true and real, which we also, of course, call the Pure Land. But really, the Buddha and the land are both, the same truth, the same reality coming, that is being constantly directing, broadcasting, let's say, to use a more modern.
So even, I mean, I'm thinking even even striving for that. Obviously, that's not something that would be taught in Kyogyoshinsho, but striving to keep the Pure Land in mind all the time, and Amida Buddha in mind all the time, and wanting to go there. Even thinking of it in terms of other power, and thinking of going there through the merit transference, or virtue transference of going forth, and the merit transference of returning. Even thinking it through that, but you're always trying to keep that in mind, is kind of it's all just pretense.
Yeah, it's more calculation.
Kidding ourselves and kidding others that we could ever do that, is pretense. Speaking of bringing it back to the pretense, that aspect of it. I thought it was funny when we were talking about pretense earlier. I adjusted my pendant, my Buddhist pendant. I was thinking to myself, well, just at that moment, we're talking about, we don't put on pretense. I'm adjusting my Buddhist pendant so it could be, a better scene in the video. I didn't even, I was just thinking of it as I was doing. I was like, it wasn't. Do you know what I mean? It was just quite funny.
It's not to say that appearances aren't important, right? I mean, especially when monks when priests of our tradition are performing Dharma services and so forth. Of course, it's important to have the presentation,
wear the robes or the
correct,
or the kesha,
and check that your wagesa is even on both sides, and that's all important, obviously. But at a deeper, at a more profound level, at a more practical level, maybe we should say, Buddhism is not about all of that stuff, right? Buddhism is life. Buddhism is living. The Dharma is about, it's not just the temple. It's not just the shrine in your home. It's not just, it's life itself. That's what the Dharma is. So it's, if you take that broader view, then I think you also end up coming closer to the naturalness, which Shandao says that the Pure Land is Jinin, is naturalness. That's the Pure Land is the land of naturalness
itself.
Naturally
become Buddha's power, not just like the heat melting ice, or just a natural process. It's a natural result of Amita's working for that to happen, which is kind of mind-blowing itself, that we're just
so
and just in that process. We're in that process of Amita, like we're in that, we're in that working, like we're in that's happening to us, in us. Anyway.
Yeah, and there's no Amida isn't sitting on the sidelines with a list of rules that people have to follow and do and checking off the list. And no, the Buddha, according to the scriptures, is intimately involved in guiding every single being, every single living being, on a one-to-one, on a one-on-one, basis. So, just I also find that to be incredibly amazing.
Yeah. The teaching is for me alone.
Right.
For every being.
And of course, every being really
every
means
single being. Yeah, exactly. It's all about me. It's all about me show. Kyogyoshinsho, it's the all about me show. So.
But of course, that means, we become Buddhas. And of course, to become a Buddha is to return to the world of unenlightenment and ferry people across to the other shore. So there's especially Mahayana, we can never have the view that, well, I just hate this world and I want to leave.
Yeah, because we're coming back.
Because you're coming.
If you notice, that's what I said. Even when I was, moaning earlier, doing my, to explain my question, my, difficulties with this. Even in that, I was saying, I just want to get on with it. I want to get to the Pure Land so I can return and get here and help other beings get out. It's just that's just a normal part of my through Amida. That's just it's not. There's no RIP. For us, as you say, it's be right back. It's BRB, right back. So even in my moaning, that was even in my moaning about it, it's that's kind of part of the mindset that Amida gives us.
Right, but we are enabled to do that through other power, not through our own.
Exactly. 100%. And even the even the wanting, even the saying, I just want to get on with, I want to get that. Even that part of wanting that's Amida's call. That's Amida's transference. That's not even my aspiration, I suppose, in some way.
And also, it's important to note too, in the scriptural passage that says, there are those who think of the Pure Land as this wonderful place to relax and enjoy way away in the West.
No.
And those people, that's not the case at all, it says. those people have a hard time getting there because they think that they get stuck in the borderland.
The borderlands, or the palace, the womb palace, or the 9 grades of lotuses, or the what's the other one? Isn't there something of indolence? I love that one. Love that. I love the names for the different
the realm of
borderlands.
I believe.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it's a very active land. It's not, I know it's a form. What we learn about the Pure Land is the form that Amida has given us, because we're Bombu and we need the form. Right. His form himself, his Sambhogakaya form. He's given us that, and he's given us the Mutsu, most importantly, as this form, so that we can relate to and actually, something we can actually do and things, but the land, even in those form descriptions of it's a very active place. It's not, you've got all these beings coming and going, making offerings like constantly to Buddhas throughout the 10 directions in every universe and every land, every Buddha land, and you've got these beings that are manifestations, these birds and things that are manifestations of Amida's merit, that are saying, constantly singing Dharma throughout the land, and even the jewel nets are singing, singing Dharma and bringing, what I mean? So every aspect of it is you've got these, the different colored shining lotuses that are,
Oh,
there's light and there's, you know what I mean? Everything.
yeah.
It's not a, it's not a, you're
Not a
not going there
static
to rest.
place.
You know, yeah, it's not somewhere where you would think,
Right.
I'm just going to hang out and chill. It's,
Exactly. That's a good,
people are
that is a
constantly
good
here
point.
listening to, and, the Dharma, and, you know what I mean? It's just, anyway.
Mhm. And of course, our,
And then the most important is we go there and come back to our different, the
right.
different worlds that we've, especially with the strongest karmic ties first, and then, that we
Yeah.
help as a bodhisattva and, and Buddha in multiple forms and all that. So it's like the ultimate active, like Pure Land, or Buddha Land. Anyway,
I
sorry.
like that, I like that, analogy, or, it's not really a joke. It's like a, proverb, I guess, that says, someone goes to the Pure Land and then there's nobody there. So he asks, where is everybody? And then it says, he's told, well, the bodhisattvas are all out, saving people. It's like, there's nobody here. But yeah, I mean, that is true. That is what's called, apratistita nirvana. The Mahayana, the highest concept of nirvana in Mahayana is that, you don't enter nirvana for your own benefit, but
Exactly.
rather you return. You have to come back to ferry everyone else over.
Exactly. The bodhisattva ideal, or I guess I'm trying to think how it's expressed, the bodhisattva.
Yeah,
Sort of.
I brought up an article, or the actual definition, because I thought we might discuss this, but
Okay, good.
I guess I could briefly share that.
Well done. Yes, please, definitely.
Let's see, since we are will. Okay, this is from none other than the Oxford.
Oxford.
A very, very reliable authority.
I mean, the authority on English and definitions.
Yeah, and this is from the concise Oxford Dictionary of World Religions, which I can't open. This is a locked academic site, which I obviously don't have the password to. But apratistita, I don't know if I'm getting the pronunciation right, but apratistita nirvana, Sanskrit, not fixed nirvana, the state in Mahayana Buddhism of one who has attained nirvana but suspends final attainment in order to help those who are still on the path to liberation, i.e., a bodhisattva. So that one is the person who does that, who is enlightened, who has actually, like Dharmakara. That's what Dharmakara was, right? He was an enlightened being, a bodhisattva. He had the same attainment as a Buddha, really. In spiritual terms, but he, in his causal stage, which is actually Amida in his causal state. It's interesting how Shinran uses that. It says when Amida in his causal
stage,
not when Dharmakara Bodhisattva, although he does use that as well, but Amida, the Buddha in his causal stage. So the subject is actually Amida Buddha.
It's already there. It's that, hearkening of the Buddha of, beginningless past, Buddha, the original Buddha of beginningless past, doing that. And you're doing that as a, anyway.
Yeah. And that's, in fact, when the passage I just shared from Kyogyoshinsho, for this reason, when the Tathagata was performing bodhisattva practices.
Yeah. It's kind of it comes back to the, it's the three the three aspects of the of Buddha is the the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya.
Yeah.
That's kind of all in there
Yeah,
as well, kind of.
for sure.
Yeah, it's and then we're not even kind of, I suppose, as those, as the bodhisattvas we will be. I just had a thought too. At the state of non-retrogression, are we bodhisattva walking at that point? In some sense,
Yeah.
in
We
a
don't,
Bombu,
we
still
don't, in
in,
Jodoshinshu, we don't say that we have
yeah,
become
yeah,
bodhisattvas
no,
in
no,
this, in this
yeah, it
very
doesn't,
much.
yeah, yeah,
Although we are, in the same
equal
stage, equal
to Maitreya,
to the Buddha,
yeah, yeah,
not the Buddha.
yeah.
There's a subtle
No,
distinction,
no,
an
exactly.
important one,
It's the
right?
two where we
Yeah.
have at that point we have the mind of the Buddha, true, sincere, real mind of the Buddha, but we're not Buddha. We're still Bombu. It's like we're both,
Right.
but
And we
not.
don't,
We're,
right. And we don't lose our blind passions. We don't lose our
yeah,
klesha.
yeah, exactly. I wasn't suggesting any of that. I was just talking in
right.
the
I
terms of
know.
born man walking.
Yeah,
Kind of. And we're
that
equal
is
to
true.
Maitreya and the Suzita heaven at that point. So in that sense, kind of. But I only meant it in that sense.
I will say,
I didn't
though,
mean it in the sense that we suddenly are, now,
right.
bodhisattvas with all the inherent, powers thereof and
all the accoutrements, as it
yeah, accoutrements and amazing crowns and garments and
although I will say, as someone, as an unenlightened person in this world, we can experience that other people are teachers, for example, are bodhisattvas helping us.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but in Jodoshinshu, to say I'm a bodhisattva,
No. Yeah. No. I wasn't. Yeah, I just
little,
definitely wasn't saying it in any kind of real sense. I just was saying it in the
right.
born man walk-in sense that.
Well, it was an important. It's an important question because it's a question some have got wrong.
Got sort of messed up on. Yeah, I can imagine. But there was something about that further I want to say. What were we kind of saying before I interjected that?
Well, I think we were talking about the fact that Shinran uses the Tathagata, says that when the Tathagata was performing.
I remember now. Yeah, now I remember what I was going to say. What I was going to say is even that whole thing of returning, when we return as bodhisattvas or Buddhas in multiple forms, we're fulfilling Amita's vow. It's not even really our bodhisattva vows that we're fulfilling. In a sense, it's Amita's vow that we're fulfilling through our very
because Amita's aspiration to save all beings is actually the primal aspiration of all Buddhas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's one and the same kind of. Once we're on team bodhisattva, then of course we'll understand all of this.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think I'll just stop with my calculation now while I'm ahead.
Well, it's important to think about these things. So.
Yeah.
Very true. Well, hopefully that was a helpful discussion. I think we definitely covered, I think, the main
points, the main questions, the
issue that
issues
brought up.
Yeah.
I mean, there are certainly times, practically speaking, when life sucks. And I wish I could be living a different life, doing something else. There's always going to be that dissatisfaction, but through the Jodoshinshu teaching, we can actually realize in this life, you know, ideally, where we are, rather than dissatisfied and constantly complaining about, you know, what a bummer, this is how our world is, we actually come to a point where we can realize gratitude for all the causes and conditions that bring us right here, right now,
to this point,
hearing the Dharma
in this rare human birth, so we can encounter the Tathagata Amida.
Yeah. So that's the goal. Now, you know, I have days, you have days, we all have, Yuinbo had days. I mean, it's just the common, but, you know, the teachings are guiding us to a way of life that is, you know, better, really. I mean, you could say the best way of life is to live
the ultimate,
embraced by, you know, the light that is compassion and true wisdom. So
exactly.
And that's the path. I love that quote by Matsuo Basho, you know, what does he say? It's from a poem. It might be from his famous book about, you know, a journey to the northern, on the northern road of Japan. Every day is a journey, and the journey itself is home. And of course, you know, for us, the Pure Land is our true home, right? But it's the same once you are within that, the grasp, so to speak, of the Buddha's working, then every day becomes a walk in that working. So there's no need to, there's no, you know, calculation in that respect with regard to our birth in the Pure Land. We can just,
it's already, it's here and now, isn't it? It's salvation here and now.
Here and now.
There and then. It's salvation here and now. I'm getting caught up into there and then, you know. I want it there and then. Forget, you know.
You're right. So, you know, that's why,
and it's
we're
both
always being brought back to, you know, the
here and now. Salvation here and now. Yeah, definitely.
Great.
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was really good discussion. I think probably a pretty universal one that, you know, I think everyone has experienced, everyone who's in Kyogyoshinsho has at some point experienced, you know, and thought about and related to or whatever. So, yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Very good. I do want to say, so on the topic of future episodes or future conversations, I am going to be in Kyoto next week, so I will not be able to join in. As a matter of fact, I am going to be right the week after next week. Hard to believe as it may seem, I am actually going to be flying back to California to spend some time with my family.
Okay.
And I'm, because the company I work for is going to allow me to work from home, I'm going to take advantage of that to actually be over there for 3 weeks, which is quite a lot. And so we will not be able to probably have another episode until the 21st of May, looking at my calendar. So it is going to be quite a break. Hopefully in the meantime, maybe some of the conversations we've been having, you could put up on the channel for people.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say. It'll give me a chance to catch up. There's a lot in the queue. There's a lot and I'm still, we've only reached October of last year with some of those discussions. So, you know, there's a lot in the queue. So yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was going to raise this even today when we were talking, is that, you know, want to get caught up with all that. So this is probably a perfect opportunity I want to get it to, I've been trying to do that this whole past year and a half or 2 years, whatever it's been, trying to get us caught up to the present. So I don't have that, the backlog of, but hopefully do it, get time to do it. So yeah, good opportunity. Yeah. It's worked
Okay,
out.
sounds good. So yeah, let's
All right.
definitely on the 21st of May, we can have a new we can restart or continue rather our discussions.
Shall we do some Nembutsu to take us out?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. 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 All right. Well, take care.
Thank you again. Until next time.
We'll
So
catch up
6 weeks
again next week.
5 weeks, maybe something like that. 5 weeks.
Yeah, it'll be a
month
while.
and change. A month and change it'll be. So
yes.
All right. Well, take care.
All right.
All right.
Take care.
I hope I hope all that work goes well for you, all your journeys and
travel.
travels.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure I'll be posting some updates.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Take care. Have a great day.
All the best.
All right. See ya.